another edition of What the French Toast, aka WTF. I, OBJ, I will be your presenter slash host for the evening, and today we're going to choose something a little bit differently. Rather than going to a reaction video and do a reaction to it, we're going to assume that one of your goals is to be featured on a podcast. Whether you want to just shoot your shot, if you want to promote something, if you want to brag, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. We're going to assume that you want to do this. And I'm going to teach you how to survive a podcast. Now this will take several topics and several episodes to complete. So we're going to start with the most obvious one. How to survive a podcast, interview edition. Podcasts are areas where one or more people tend to discuss things that they care about. Whether it's comedy, sports, entertainment, current events, whatever. They feel a need to make their presence felt on the internet. What does they go about doing so? One of the quickest ways for a podcast to get notoriety is to start doing interviews. But not just any interviews though. They tend to do interviews that are controversial. And when I say that, I mean they are interviews conducted where the host and the guest have opposing viewpoints on any subject. And they go about trying to just sway one or the other to their side of thinking. It is a televised debate, is a better word for it. And let's just say, for the sake of the argument, that that's the word you want to say. You feel that you want to promote something, so you get an interview set up with a podcast. There are many, many, many things you can and can't do. We're going to go over a few of them. The first thing that you want to do, you want to be on time. The first impression will last a lifetime. So if you stroll to the interview late, what's it say about you? Don't do it. Strive to be, actually my advice would be to be early. I'd rather be early than on time because on time is too close to being late. So be early. That goes without saying. The second thing that you need to do is you need to be mindful. Every podcast, no matter what is on TV, on the internet, audio, video, both, no matter what, they all have guidelines, general ground rules that everybody must adhere to make the podcast a successful venture. Be mindful. If you are given a set of guidelines that are given to you with the express purpose of making the podcast a pleasant experience for both you and the host, do it. Don't cost you nothing. And remember, it's free publicity. you don't have to pay to appear on a podcast. You're on a podcast simply because they need guests. So be mindful. And here's the guidelines. Be on time. Switching gears, one of the things, the biggest thing that I've seen happen on podcasts that you do not want to happen to you, which will eventually, and why did you get booted from the platform, is rudeness. Which goes hand in hand with the guidelines. Because one of the guidelines is respect the platform, respect the host, respect your guests. And there's a reason for that. The reason being that in order to be heard, you have to give your input, and then the other person, whether it's a host or another guest, whatever, they need to give their input. And they need to be heard. Nothing will derail a podcast faster than people constantly over talking each other, screaming, yelling, shouting, matching, and all that other stuff. Because people get, in the beginning it's fun, but gets tired very quickly. And eventually the people stop tuning in. They stop tuning in, and what was once a great show becomes eh. It's up to sponsorship and everything else. So, do not be rude. For some of you, I know that's going to be hard. I know it. Because a lot of people get on podcasts for the wrong reasons. And the biggest reason that they get on that I feel is the wrong reason is that they've got a point to be made, and they know they're right, and they want to take the time to be on the podcast to make that point known. No. Nuh-uh. Not happening. Or, excuse me, if you do want that, get on a podcast that allows that type of behavior, that type of banter, that type of platform. If you want to talk about something that's right-wing, find a right-wing platform and get on that. If you want an echo chamber, find a podcast that validates and amplifies that echo chamber and get on that. Don't think, this is another one, don't think that you're going to get on this pod to save it. That is a recipe for disaster. And I'll tell you why. Podcasts, to be truly successful, have to be controversial. And they can be controversial in a myriad of ways. Clickbait, ambush style interviews, there's a few others, but those are the two main issues that come to mind. They need eyeballs. Because that's the first rule of any podcast. Get eyeballs on you. Some of the best content everywhere won't be considered good content because there's not enough eyeballs. This podcast doesn't get a whole lot of eyeballs. And it doesn't get a whole lot of eyeballs because I tend not to make it very controversial. Now, if I want to change it and actually monetize it and make money and all the other good stuff, I may have to consider doing that. But for right now, we'll keep it the way it is. And I kind of like it that way. So we'll leave it. But I digress. Back to the topic. How to survive a podcast. And I say survive because of the way podcasts these days are structured. And the ultimate goal of a podcast being to get eyeballs on it. They're going to have to say and do things that they may not necessarily agree with, but they'll have to do it to generate clicks. People clicking on the thumbnail and consuming the video. And a lot of them are pretty shameless in how they do it. One of the things I don't like about Just Pearly Things, shout out to Just Pearly Things, but one of the things I don't like about them is that they employ clickbait. Man tortures woman after she did this. Then you get in the video and it's nothing like that. You're like, what the hell? But it's good content, so you sit there and watch it. It's a good show. It's a good episode. The guests are compelling. The questions are thoroughly thought out. It's good TV. Or in this case, a good podcast. So you sit there and you watch it for 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, however long it is. But it's not done maliciously. It's done because Just Pearly Things, her producers, all those people that run the show and bring us content that we love, have figured out the best way that they know to get eyeballs on them is to create controversial topics. And then word those topics in such a way that'll get someone to click on it. What? Wait a minute, click. Once you click, they can do whatever they want. The worst you're going to do is not watch it and click to something else. But they feel that first click will get you to the video, and they're betting that the content and everything else that goes with it will be enough to keep reviews on it. And for the most part, they're right. Now, there have been a couple of times where even I have been like, no, I can't rock with this. And I've gone on to other things. But they're few and far in between. And whether I like them or not, I always like the video. It's the least I feel that I can do to help them attain the viewership and do the things they need to do. That's the least I can do. And also, as I've said many times on these podcasts, it's free. Why the hell wouldn't I? It takes exactly 1 second, 2 if you're lollygagging, to hover over the thumbs up and click it. You can do whatever you want afterwards. Anything else after that is a bonus. Ooh, I like what they're doing. Subscribe. Ooh, I want to know what comes on next. Notify. I feel such and such a way about this video. Let me type. Send. Comment. But you notice the first thing that I did was I liked the video. Now there are times when I don't like the video and I won't hit it. For whatever reason. There are content creators that I follow that have videos, and if you went through my history, I didn't like them. I didn't like the content. For whatever reason. I felt, nah, this ain't me. I can't rock with it. Doesn't mean that I rock with the creator. I just feel a different way about the topic. So I won't like it. Because when you like something, you're telling the world, I agree with them. And I'll say that again, 'cause that's a very important point. When you like a video, you're telling the world that you agree with the content creator. Whatever stance they have on the topic, you agree with. So if I don't agree with what they're talking about on the topic, I'm not going to click like. I'm not going to click dislike because I don't dislike it. I'm just going to leave it blank. Dislike is when somebody says or does something so egregiously wrong. It's like, no, I really can't rock with that. And I save those for the comments. Blah, 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 XYZ. No. What are you talking about? No. Dislike. And I won't click on dislike for a content creator that I follow simply because that messes up, that gives an algorithm another option. I may not see as much content from the person that I normally would. And I don't want to do that. I am a content creator. Amongst many things. I wear many hats. And the things I do day to day on to what I hope becomes a significant digital entertainment hub. I wear many hats, I do many different things. And first and foremost, I'm a YouTube fan. I watch more videos during the course of the day now than I do television. And I'll say that one more time. I watch more YouTube content than I watch television content. And I'm paying for that. I'm paying whatever how much it is, I'm paying X amount of dollars a month to not watch television. I watch YouTube videos, and I watch it with an ad blocker, so for the most part, I don't see ads. Should I say that out loud? Well, I already did. I am, as I said before, I'm a fan. I enjoy different content creators, what they provide, the services they render, and the joy and the smiles it puts on my face when I watch this stuff. I cry with them on the stuff that's topical and sad. I get angry with them when it outrages me. I get thoughtful when it gets thought-provoking. All those things that videos tend to do, I do. And for the most part, I rock with them. I do. I recently started watching Fresh and Fit. Fresh and Fit would go in the same category as the late, great Kevin Samuels, in which it's simple. Kevin and Myron and Fresh are out to educate the males of this world on the correct way on how to date, how to finance, how to keep fit, and how to live a positive lifestyle. Now, their delivery, for the most part, is spot on. I don't have a problem with Myron or Kevin telling people exactly what they need to hear. At all. And I think Kevin does it the best. Kevin will give you exactly what you give him. If you come across with a positive demeanor and you actually want to learn something, he'll rock with you. He'll teach you. If you come across as argumentative, combative, disagreeable, showing those masculine traits, you're going to get some pushback. And depending on how hard you push back, he's going to respond in time, in kind. No, I can't do it. I can't do it. Click. Now, Myron from Fresh and Fit takes it one step further. Myron is blunt. He is the business end of a gun. And he says time and time again, the biggest problem that I have, this is what he says, the biggest problem he has with the guests on his show is that he and Freshford CEO will tell you exactly what men think. And the ladies on his show will push back. Nothing infuriates him more, and nothing infuriates me as a viewer more, than when he tells you something and the female's on the feelings and she's like, what you need to do is, wait, what? How are you going to tell me what I need to do? How are you going to tell me what I need to do? You're a girl. If I want a woman's opinion about something, I'll ask you. We're not here for that. We're here for you guys, so we tell you how we feel, so that you can be more agreeable and compliant with them, and we get more dating going on. And the dating market is fucked. Excuse the language, but it is. If I had to date today, you could write me off. I'm a confirmed bachelor.
What?
And we're back. Thanks for rocking with me. Before we go any further, remember, we operate in fives. And the fives that we're talking about, we were just talking about earlier in this segment. Like, comment, subscribe, notify, share. Those 5 things help us grow organically. And we heartily suggest and advise you to do so. You'll feel better about it. We'll feel better about it. It's a win-win. And if you really want to support us and show us you rock with us and you love us, consider a donation. In the comments, in the content below, in the description, you'll get links to our donation applications. Any little bit helps. And if you donate to a particular app, it will be shout out, put on blast on a future episode. Which is just our way of saying thank you. We appreciate what you do. We know what you do isn't necessarily easy because money is hard to come by these days. So we appreciate the fact that you went out of your way to donate to us and help to further our cause. And we thank you for that. And that's how we thank you. How to survive a podcast. Up to this point, I've told you things that you should and you should not do once you're on the podcast. But let's go back for a minute and let's talk about getting on the podcast. All this is well and good in getting on, but it makes no difference at all if you can't. How do you maximize your chances of becoming a guest on a podcast? First thing you gotta do is you gotta reach out. You gotta get a recruiter. And a recruiter's main function is a lot of guests to be interviewed on the podcast. Now, there are people who play the game and who will lie, they'll omit, they'll do anything they can to be put on the show, and then once they're on the show, they figure, I'm on the show, I'm going to shoot my shot, I'm going for mine, and go for what they know. Which is okay if you're into that, but you run the risk of never being invited on any podcast, let alone the one that you just screwed up on. Unless you're so egregious and so out there and so crazy and so effed up that they're thinking, you know, we could use this. This is comedy gold. Let's get it back on the show. Which does happen. You know that one guest who's on periodically, and you can't stand him. They're contrary, they're argumentative, they're condescending, they're everything that you're not. And they're on the podcast. Time and time again. That goes back to what I was telling you guys about eyeballs. They're on this show time and time again because they've noticed that their viewership spikes when they're featured on the segment. Podcast guests are like a train wreck. It's horrible, but you can't seem to look away. Howard Stern, and I said this before on the podcast, I'll say it again. Howard Stern once said to those people who wanted him off the air, he said, stop watching. If enough of you stop watching, I will go away. And that's probably one of the truest things I've ever heard anyone say in my entire life. It's simple. It's so simple that people tend to ignore it. If you don't like watching something, don't watch it. Find a book, read a book, find another show, walk your dog, take a walk, do anything else, anything but watch that show. The reason why I say that is because if enough of you start doing that, the people, the advertisers will be like, wait a minute, we're not making any money now. People are watching this. Pull support. And when enough of them pull the support, the offending show goes away. I'm gonna deviate real quick, and then come back to the topic. A lot of what is wrong in this world can be righted via the boycott. If you're working at a job and the conditions are bad, you do have the power to change it. And all you have to do to change it is not show up. If enough people stop showing up, enough people call in sick for 2, 3, 4 days at a clip, management will get the message and they'll start to do things to right the wrong. Because the last thing that they need are people, a ton of things to do and not enough people to do them. But they're snug in the fact that they don't have to worry about it. And they don't have to worry about it because people are sheep. You can have 1, 2 people outspoken saying, this isn't fair, we don't want to deal with this. They'll get fired. And replaced by somebody who's compliant and will do the job with a minimum of fuss, if they fuss at all. And employers know this. They know this. They're banking on the fact that people on the whole don't know it. I've said it before. I've worked at places that people have been great about stuff. I said, well, you can change it, but you're not gonna. It's true. If enough people stand up for what they believe in, and they do the hard thing, management will notice. You can fire 1, 2, 3, 4 people and replace them. You can't fire 40. You can't fire 400. You can't fire 4,000 because now you're talking about economies of scale. 400 people in a call center environment, that's the call center. 400 people walk up the job when they get fired, the call center is closed. And they can't hire people because it takes 2 weeks to get people up to snuff. It takes a week of rudimentary training and a week of on the job training. Then they have another 60 days on probation. Employers know this. And they're hoping you don't. Something to think about. And now, back to how to survive a podcast. Keyword, survive. So, you get on the podcast. You're a recruiter, you get on the podcast. You sit down, you articulate, dialogue goes well, it's a good show. And at the end, the host thanks everybody, wraps it up, the show's off, cameras go offline, everybody's off air, it's time to leave. You have 3 steps, 3 actions you can take from this point. First, once again, thank them and go about your business. Second is you go about your business. This only happens when you get kicked off the show or you're muted or anything like that. Something negative happens. First one's like, whatever, and they're gone. The third thing you can do is thank them and leave a subtle reminder that you are eager, or not eager, you are interested in doing another spot on the show. Notice, I changed it back. I didn't say eager, because you don't want to come off as eager. Eager is needy, and needy is desperate. Nobody wants that. But it's like, thank you very much. I enjoyed my time. If you're ever thinking about expanding on this topic, I'll be happy to come in and give my 2 cents. And then you leave. It's a positive interaction. The seeds are planted, and 7 times out of 10, you'll be called back in for another spot. And notice now, this isn't necessarily a recruiter calling you on a cold call. This is a recruiter, if not the host themselves, saying, "Listen, I know you were on the show some time ago. It went really well. Really enjoyed your company, your energy. Would you consider coming on the show for another segment?" And then you answer either positively or negatively, and the cycle repeats itself. If you say yes, if you say no, once again, thank you for considering me. I'm kind of busy right now, so I don't have time for it. But if something comes up in the future, please keep me in mind. I just gave you game on how to survive a podcast. Now, there are many, many other things that you can, should, cannot, and should not do. And those I'll leave up to you. I'm sure you can figure out what's the do's and don'ts, the shoulds and shouldn'ts, the can and can'ts, on interacting with guests, on interacting with the host, observing etiquette, observing the rules, and generally having a fun and positive experience on a podcast. Once again, these are suggestions. They're not etched in stone. They're subject to change, and they can change, and a lot of times they do change. Take from it what you will. But it would help in the long run if you simply take on board what's been said tonight and try to apply it in your interactions with the podcast forum. And do me a favor. The next time that you're asked to go on a show, and you have a positive experience, as you're leaving, tell them, I learned this from OBJ. And with that, we come to the end of our show. Thank you for one and all. We're doing part 1 of my continuing and infrequent delve into how to survive a podcast. Thank you all. Remember, 5 different steps you can take to make this show better. Like, comment, subscribe, notify, share. Those 5 steps help us grow and helps us bring better and better content for you. And hopefully some of this content will make you smile. It may make you laugh. It will make you think. And if we can change just one person, we've done our job. And with that, this is OBJ your highly favored, humble, and grateful host, saying peace to you all. Be careful out there. Be safe. And good night.